I'm on one of the first targeted chemo treatments with very mild reactions, and my white blood cell came down, and here I am.
I'm still so taken back by this. So when you were told, was it back to back? Like, hey, you have this and you have this, or was it you have this? Here's how we can maybe go about treating it, and then, oh, by the way, I'm going to add on leukemia, or I'm going to add on testicular cancer. Like, how did that whole conversation go?
Yeah. So what triggered it was my white blood cell count was over 500 times higher than it should be. So they were and they did an ultrasound because I had a tumor on my testicle, and again, they're just trying to figure out what's what, because the testicular could lead to higher white blood cell counts and all of that, and for the first day or two, really, well, actually for longer, until I had to do a bone marrow test to confirm the CML, and until that came back, it was still trying to figure out what's what. So it was just routine physical. Everything was pretty good, and numbers just looked bad in my blood tests, which I can't advocate high enough for people doing their blood testing and getting physicals regularly, because I was able to find this before it had spread, and you joked about having bad luck, but it could have been so much worse. Played the lottery a little after. Didn't go well, but
no. The first WEINS and Jimmy Fund radio telethon was in 2001. This is the 18th version of this. 2001 is important because your cancer is under control in large part to a drug that was developed in 2001. I mean, that's the sort of advancements we're talking about here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's this year has been really special for me. Since being diagnosed, I've been trying to figure out how to live with having a chronic form of cancer, but also wanting to feel like I'm giving back more and whatnot. So this year, between this, I just rode in the PMC a few weeks ago. But it was 4 years was kind of an important year, because prior to 2001, the lifespan was 3 to 5 years with CML. So without imatinib and the pill I take every day, there's a good chance I wouldn't be here. So
now, when treating both at the same time, were there certain things that you couldn't do because of it would affect the other treatment, or how did that all take place?
Yeah. Again, really, really lucky for CML has less than 9,000 people diagnosed annually with it, which is too big of a number, but as far as cancer goes, it's pretty small. And the imatinib itself doesn't have much side effects, so that wasn't so bad. And luckily, with my testicular cancer, it hadn't spread yet, so I literally got diagnosed, or went in for my checkup on a Friday, and had my surgery by Wednesday of the final week, or the next week, and didn't have to have any more treatment as far as that, and was clean. Just regular testing to make sure that we were doing all right. So the biggest thing after the surgery was really just making sure that my white blood cell count was coming down with the imatinib for the CML, which it did. So
testicular cancer is pretty uncommon.
Yeah.
Going back to your whole luck thing again.
Right.
Sorry, Abe, but it's pretty uncommon, right?
Yeah. Testicular cancer is pretty common in young people. The CML is the one that's really not. And then the other curveball with it too, the average person that gets CML is 64 when they have it, and I was 31.
Right, half of that.
At the time. So again, going back to people don't get two forms of cancer at once, and then not being 64, it was pretty interesting.
How did the doctors and nurses at Dana-Farber sort of help you along this whole way?
Yeah, the people at Dana-Farber, my partner Jen and I, we talk all the time about how it's the worst but the best place in the world, and at this point I go back every quarter for a blood test for my CML, and I just feel so lucky when I go there. The people there, they do everything possible, and there's so many volunteers that just go in there to try to make someone having potentially the worst day of their life as good as possible. And they do all the little things from they don't tell you false promises, but they're honest with you, and their compassion and caring there is just like nothing I've ever experienced before. So It's really lucky, living in JP. That the first thing they do, they asked you, how long did it take to get there? And luckily, I can joke, and a lot of times I ride my bike there.
Right.
And we don't have to worry about being put up in hotels, but you're sitting next to someone that's I grew up in Maine. There's constantly people there from Maine and all over. It's one of the top cancer facilities in the world, and people come from all over the place to get the treatment there. So again, back to really lucky as far as bad luck goes, to have it in my backyard.
I'll take it all back. You are lucky.
Yeah, you know what? Turns out.
What? Maybe you should be picking my lottery tickets, because I'm thrilled that things have gone as well for you as they have so far. I love your attitude. I really do, and the way you approach this whole thing. You're an inspiration.
Thanks.
Good to see you, Abe. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.